It has been an eventful couple of weeks for NASCAR's Joey Logano. The three-time NASCAR Cup Series champion has been all over the place, traveling from Nashville to Michigan to a trip to Mexico City last weekend for the first Cup race outside the U.S. in 67 years. This year, the defending Cup Series champ races as close to New York as NASCAR can get at Pocono Raceway in northeastern Pennsylvania. And look who we have here. Joey Logano is in studio with us
What's up,
here
Joey?
on First Take. You hear Stephen Knight
What's
there.
happening?
There you go. I'll start with you here, Joey. First of all, how was your trip to Mexico?
I'm good. I didn't get sick. That was great.
Positive.
Everything went pretty smooth. Logistically, for a race team to go down there, there's 280 trucks. Had to cross the border, go all the way down there. So logistically for our sport was really challenging to do. Everything went pretty smooth. The race was exciting. The fans in Mexico, they love NASCAR racing. Didn't realize that, but they were all very passionate.
Right.
Lots of fun. You could see us all there 4 or 5 wide. It was quite the entertaining race.
Speak to how important it is, Joey, for NASCAR to develop an international appeal. Can you talk about that for a second?
Yeah, I mean, I think all sports, have some kind of national appeal, and you see this in other sports too as they start to go abroad a little bit and just do a game or two in different countries. Well, same thing for NASCAR. I think we can start to, expand a little bit more. But what I'm saying, logistically, it's a little harder for us because we're not just taking the team.
Yeah.
We got to take the car and all the parts and the pieces, and it's just a lot. But we're able to accomplish that. And I think, you got to step out of your comfort zone, right? And last weekend, we were doing something that's outside of our comfort zone, but it went really, really smooth.
How was the track internationally?
The track was great.
Okay.
Yeah, it was good. They were ready for us. When we showed up, it was like everything went perfectly as planned, which was great. We're excited to go back to Pocono this weekend, though. We're just only a couple hours from here in New York City right now. So got to come up here and spend a little time.
Forgive me for asking you this, but I'm curious because I want to know, because you're a winner, 3-time Series Cup champion. We know what you bring to the table. But when we talk about Pocono, you have just one win in 29 Cup Series starts, and that was way back in 2012. What's the difficulty in that particular locale? Can you give me that? Can you give me a breakdown for that, please?
Yeah, I know. Thanks for bringing up that amazing stat.
I'm sorry.
At least there's one. But, NASCAR racing, it's challenging because it's not 1v1, right? Like, you are going up against 39 other teams. So, for our season, we race 36 times a year. If you can get 5 or 6 wins, that's a pretty decent winning percentage. So, Pocono hasn't been one of our strongest tracks at the moment, but I feel like last year we finished 5th there, which is not too bad, but it's a challenging track. It's actually shaped as a triangle, so it's not an oval like we typically race on or a road course or something like that. It's a 2.5-mile triangle. Every corner is a lot different, so trying to set up the car to be good in every corner, it's kind of hard to do. Like, you kind of got to compromise. It's like a marriage. You got to compromise a little bit here and there to be good all the way through that track.
Any relationship, Joey, we need to compromise,
sure.
right? Yeah, okay. You're looking for your 4th title overall. How difficult is it? You want to win one more. How difficult is that?
No, you always want to win one more, right?
Always one more, no matter how many you got.
Never enough championships for sure. And I feel like that's how you always classify any athlete in any sport, is how many championships you got, right? How many rings you got. So championships are tough. Our playoff format is pretty wild and intense through the last 10 weeks. And there's no better feeling than that. But the way that, it works now, you can, just like any other sport, you have such a long season, you're going to go through the ups and downs. You got to be able to grind through it. You got to keep learning. The sport's always going to keep evolving, right? Technology keeps changing in our sports a lot. So as we try to keep up with that and make sure that we are at our best when the playoffs start, not only from our car standpoint, but from our team standpoint, right? Our pit crew, myself as a driver, we all have to level up when the playoffs come around, just like every other sport.
You're a NASCAR legend. Everybody knows this, but I got to ask you, and pun intended, I'll preface it by saying that. What athlete have you watched that has stopped you in your tracks?
I think there's a few. When you step back and look, it's probably easy to look the most at someone like Tom Brady, because he's done it for so long at such a high level, and the sport obviously changed over that time. And his body changed a lot too, right? Like, you can't do the same things you're able to do when you're 25 or 30 when you're 40 plus, right? Like, so you got to, kind of find your new way to stay on top for that long. I don't see how that cannot catch your attention, because you got to look at someone like this and say, what are they doing different? Because no one else can do that. in our sport, and we can compete till we're 45 years old out there, right? There's not many drivers that are competitive at that age, but there's the one or two that did it, right? Kevin Harvick was one of them that raced up into his mid 40s-ish and was still competitive. But you also see most of them, once they get to that 40 number, that's usually where something goes away, right? The quickness, the reaction time, something is changing. But this day and age, there's so much technology about the body, right? The human body, and how we can still perform really at a high level later on in your years.
Can I ask a real question here? How do you go from driving 200 miles an hour and then get on like a regular street and you're like, I'm in a 25? Like, how does your brain? I'd be like everywhere.
That's a good question.
Police officers. That'll do it. That'll do it. Something about the law that keeps you in line. Yeah,
okay,
that'll check your rate up. Yeah.
I'm just thinking, like, when I get off a highway, you're naturally
Good advice for
speeding.
Shador.
Right,
Yeah.
yes. And it all comes full circle, right?
I want to go, don't get me wrong, and I know I can, but I'm like, I can't do this.
Like, maybe
now.
if you get pulled over, you're like, well, I am a professional racer.
Yeah, you think that works? Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I think you brought a gift. What'd you
I
bring?
did. Well, I heard that this is your final day in this studio, and we wanted to bring you something to celebrate with. So this is one of the championship bottles from our championship last year. Wanted to give it to you guys and your team to celebrate a little farewell tour.
Stephen A., unfortunately, I think I have to pop that bottle without you here, but something tells me you might see some bottles being popped later tonight, maybe, depending on how this goes.
I kind of think so. I kind of say, and then maybe not tonight, but I'll be popping bottles soon enough. No doubt about that. Appreciate it, Joey. Thank you, man.